You're listening to Open for Discussion, where, man, y'all probably shouldn't have said that. It tends to happen. Let's start the show.
715 East Music Group.
Welcome to Open for Discussion, where any and everything is on the table to be discussed. I'm your host, Salbert. I got my brothers from another mother. I got my boy Diddy Rowe, a.k.a.
Greetings and salutations.
We really appreciate that, man. That's probably the most tame one that we've ever had.
So speaking of the dialects you consider untamed, well, you're a bigot. You're a bigot to the nth degree. So speaking in a foreign language or in any other language that is not Americanized English, he sees as lesser than, as somehow inferior, and uncivilized. Those are the exact terminologies and words used to delegitimize every other culture around the world. You're an imperialist. And you're a bigot.
There's the Diddy Rowe that we all know and love. I got my boy Cleet the Geek.
What's up, y'all?
And my boy G-Dub.
Yo.
Fellas, welcome to a new decade.
But same bigoted views.
We can always depend on Brian. Is it safe to say Brian?
His face says it all. Oh man.
Man, it's real good, man. It feels good. You know, as a kid, I didn't know what my thoughts were as far as getting to, you know, the 2020s. That was so far from when we were jits, man. It is definitely not what my expectations were.
Nah.
Did y'all have some lofty expectations for the 2020s?
For sure, man.
Yeah,
I'm looking for the flying cars, man. I still don't see them.
Yeah. I just finished watching Blade Runner and Equilibrium.
Is it Blade Runner 2049?
No, the original one.
The original, okay.
Was made in 81, and Equilibrium. And they were saying, like, the time is now that they made the movies based on.
Yeah.
And there's, flying cars, like, dystopian future and all this crazy stuff. And I'm
still looking for the iRobot cars, man.
Yeah. Well, that's closer than we think. There's actually a couple companies that have automated cars. So that'll happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
It's just not, you know, every household kind
it's not Terminator.
Right.
Robots.
No, it's not Terminator. We still ain't got the flying cars, though, man. Well, they keep attempting it, but it's always a failure.
Well, there's another one. Dubai is actually building the first taxi, flying taxi.
Air taxi?
Yeah. So Uber is...
Like up in the air, or is it like hovers?
Up in the air. Well, I mean, like...
like not a couple of feet, not hundreds.
I don't think... It's not going to be as high as a helicopter, but it's not going to be in traffic either. So... They are testing that with a pilot with Uber to do the whole taxi, flying taxi thing. Dubai is really like progressive, and they're trying to do the first to do everything. Or if they're not the first,
I'll be the last to get on that. I tell you that. I don't want no test flights, no test runs, none of that.
Listen,
give me.
I ain't flying if I.
Yeah, give me
I have to.
That's like roller coasters. When they be like, "Oh, we just brought out a new roller coaster." Okay, I get on it next year. I already don't like getting on them, but I'm going to at least wait till the following year to make sure that ain't no problems.
Safe.
Man, it was one of the things I do want to touch on, man. It's been a pretty good sports year starting out so far already. Now I want y'all to go back. We're gonna go all the way back to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah. Thoughts? I know. Well, we gotta acknowledge that we do have a resident woke in here, and they do not entertain the NFL, and we respect that.
Resident woke. I was like, what did he say?
But we do. Hopefully, at this point, B has watched the highlights, so he can commentate on it. So, what were your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Go ahead, fellas.
I was.
You're pulling for the Niners
all day. I'm a Niners fan. 92 since 92.
Yeah, man.
Okay, let it be on record.
Since 2020.
Okay. Nah, man, I'm a long-time Niners fan. So obviously, I was prideful coming into this game. I was excited that my boys made it. But yeah, man, that coach, man, he just can't get it right. He just can't get it right,
boss.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, a little disappointed, but the bittersweet part of it is black quarterback got a chance to win. So and now he represents, in my estimation, he represents the NFL. So you got to take your wins where you can get them.
I appreciate it. Yeah. What you got, man? I see you pondering over there.
No, I enjoyed the Super Bowl thoroughly. I thought it was a great game. I mean, everyone who watched it probably thought the game was over with about 9 minutes left.
I did.
And San Fran was down by 10?
No, San Fran was.
San Fran was up by 10. The Chiefs were down. I don't know if we can pin this one on Kyle Shanahan, though. I mean, the game kind of turned the tide on that.
Start running the ball, man. Start throwing the ball.
I mean, it's like
I put it on the defense.
Yeah, the defense,
solely on the defense.
The defense, which had been
characteristic,
throughout the season. Like and especially their zone defense, a couple dudes had major busts, especially on that Tyreek Hill wasp play as they called it. This dude, he jumped on the in route as opposed to going back deep third, and Tyreek Hill, the most explosive player on the field, is wide open for a 44-yard gain. So I mean, I don't put this one on Kyle Shanahan. I definitely put his loss against the Patriots on Kyle Shanahan. But this one, not so much, man. They just had some mental bust at the end. They didn't have the fortitude to go all the way through. But I'm happy for Pat Mahomes. I'm happy for Andy Reid. Andy Reid is he burgeoned or was the person that came through with black quarterbacks, like really prominent role of black quarterbacks. He took McNabb to 4 straight NFC championships. Even though they lost 2 and then they lost. Wait, they lost. They got to 1 Super Bowl or 2 Super Bowl.
They made it 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah, they made it to 1, and they lost. They lost 3, and then it was tough. And then he's the one that gave Michael Vick another chance. Yeah. You know what I mean? After Vick came back with the whole dog scandal. So, and then we got Alex Smith, and he replaces Alex Smith with Pat Mahomes. You know what I mean? So this guy understands talent, and he moved up to get Pat Mahomes even when he had Alex Smith. And he's an innovator. I've been in the league for a long time. So great Super Bowl.
It was entertaining.
Very.
More entertaining than last year.
Oh, man. Don't even bring that up. What you got, wokeness?
First off, let's cease with the prejudicial undercut at name calling and trying to somehow demean those who choose not to partake in the active practice of watching a National Football League that openly discriminated against one Colin Kaepernick. They did settle, which I do believe was good. But again, that won't diminish the fact that they did discriminate against the brother. And settling, of course, as we know in America, you don't admit guilt. You settle, for some level of monetary compensation. So I'm glad he got paid. In my opinion, settling is a sign of guilt. So it's like covering up a crime. You committed a crime. That's why you're covering it up. So, but for that, same. I caught the halftime show with my wife. She wanted to catch the halftime show. And, I would get texts throughout the night about the events that were transpiring. And I definitely thought it was over. Once they came back, I was like, what the heck? So I looked on it and caught some highlights. I'm looking forward to the XFL, though.
XFL is good. XFL is dope.
Pretty decent.
Especially that dude, PJ,
man, right?
My thing is, I can't put too much. Did you say PJ Tucker?
You did.
What's the dude's name?
He on the Houston Rockets.
PJ Houston. It's like this dude played for the Houston team. It's PJ something.
You talking about the guy who used to be a quarterback for Ohio State?
No, not Jay.
No.
The
I know
actual
you're talking
quarterback for the Houston team.
I know you're talking
about. He was like a. I know what you're talking about. I know.
He's been tearing it up.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been wanting great quarterback play from the XFL. He's been giving it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I can't give him too much until they get through a full season because the AAFL was pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then
just folded.
Like 8 games into the season, it's like, we out of here.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was
last year.
Spring last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember
what XFL last year. That was this.
No,
that was the
AAFL.
AAF, a completely separate league.
Steve Spurrier, the old ball
Because I was
coach.
just like, I thought they just started. Okay.
Yeah, man.
So this is McMahon's on, right?
Yeah.
This
But
came
it's-
out a couple of years ago, then it bombed.
But it's not even
2001.
Yeah, it was when He Hate Me, and they had a whole bunch of crazy rules. It was like Blitz, NFL Blitz for in real life.
That's
It was
basically
like
what-
wrestling, football wrestling.
Yeah, that's it. Just straight entertainment.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
The All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game
That
was
was
actually
dope.
pretty decent, man.
That
was
it was
fun.
actually, what you think about the format?
I love it.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
real
it
good.
makes them compete, and then they tie in the charity piece, which I think they could just continue to push every time they go into a city. They could, choose a charity every time, and now they make the players want to play. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the kids right there, they got your gear on.
That was,
you know what I'm
that
saying?
was real smooth.
Yeah.
Man. I like seeing that.
And it almost felt like, I don't know about y'all, but I could hear it. Like, you know how the sound you hear when you watching college basketball? Like, it's like you hear the youth in the audience.
Yeah,
Like
you can hear it. You could feel
Yeah.
and hear the energy,
Yeah.
sitting in your house.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good. And then the fourth quarter was amazing.
I love the fact that it felt like and I think they should do this format every year because the game gets so out of hand sometimes with points that it becomes like, why are we even doing this? Right?
Yeah,
like
just seeing how much points they could put up.
exactly. But
Yeah,
in
like
this
the
format,
Rising Stars game.
right?
You watch some of the
That was
highlights,
the
it's
same
like-
exact thing.
It's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He just took 17 steps to go for the dunk. And
At one point,
there was no call.
they just stopped half court and just
and
let
then
them dunk.
let people dunk. I'm like,
Yeah, what is this? man?
and I think you get the best basketball players in the world competing against each other.
LeBron
It gave
actually played defense.
It gave the feel of a pickup game. You know what I mean?
That's what,
and I was like,
that's what I.
oh,
That's,
okay,
that's,
this is
what I got
Yeah,
from
that's
it,
what
man.
it is. It's
Yeah.
like no time. You get
Right,
into a score.
right.
That's exactly you get into that mode.
Yeah.
Which that
Now,
was dope.
I got to ask y'all.
No.
Was Aaron Gordon robbed?
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
day
We will
long.
not sit here in Central Florida
Here we go.
and not say that this man was not
Second
robbed.
time.
man.
Second
Here we go.
time.
I'm
Yeah.
going to again, unpopular opinion.
You're biased, man.
No,
Shut up,
listen,
bro.
listen,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Bro, I want
Let
to
me.
choke this dude
Can
on
I? Can I at least
no,
let my argument-
because you a Miami
It's gonna
fan.
take a Dwayne Wade saying he
No,
was
no,
bro.
I didn't say that.
Bruh.
Can I even be heard out, please?
Not really.
Nah, we really don't
well,
want to hear.
You can talk. We're not gonna
What
listen.
is the
Go
point
right
of
ahead.
bringing up a topic and we can't talk about it? Maybe we're just gonna.
Listen,
Go ahead,
go ahead, man.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so
man.
in the slam dunk competition, right?
All right, but this is my take.
Aaron
Man
Gordon.
got 550s.
Aaron Gordon had a phenomenal run. Phenomenal, right? There is no denying that this dude was all his dunks were creative, all of them were unique.
All 50s.
And Aaron Gordon should have won to a certain degree.
Okay, we can
So-
move on from there. So,
But what I told Cleet, right? In the format that the dunk contest is in, it's similar to a playoff format. You win a game in the first round, you don't get points in the second round because you won in the first round. Right? And because of that, the second round has to be treated as its own independent
Start
entity.
from zero.
Right. So when you started from zero on those particular dunks, him and dang, what's my
Derrick
dude name?
Jones.
Derrick Jones.
is it Derrick Jones?
Yeah, yeah.
It's forgettable.
It's not Aaron Gordon.
Him and Derrick Jones, they kept going 50.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, just give them both the title. Just like,
Yeah.
why
It
even
should have been a decision at that point.
even
gonna exhaust
continue,
them at some
right?
point, yeah.
And so they continued, right? And everyone, like people on Twitter were going crazy on Dwayne Wade's bias on this dude's team. And I was like, wait a second. What about Chadwick Boseman and Candace Parker? They too gave them a 9. Right, so it was like if one of them gave him a 10.
Listen, I'm with I forgot who one of the commentators. I think it was Kenny Smith or Reggie Miller.
Kenny Smith has no credibility.
No,
Let's say that.
no. He said
Vince Carter still gonna spark him.
He said something. Talking about, he said, "If you can't dunk, you shouldn't be judging the dunk contest."
Oh,
Talking about Black Panther.
I thought he was talking about Candace Parker.
No, Candace Parker
Oh, yeah,
done
she can
dunked in the
dunk.
game.
Okay.
But you said if you
Yeah,
can't
I didn't
dunk,
have to get that because he's Black Panther. I just thought about that.
Because he's
the
Black
only-
Panther. I mean, they have like one celebrity
Yeah,
thing every year.
I guess
but-
he Black royalty.
Black History Month, man.
So
you know,
exactly.
Throw it on.
But look, like I think they should have both got the title because what I don't want to happen is like this dude. What ended up happening, everyone saying Aaron Gordon got robbed. There was no appreciation for what Derrick Jones was able to do in a lot of the dunks that he did. It was just like, oh, okay, Aaron Gordon had all these dunks. It's like this dude had dunks too. This dude did a windmill from almost the free throw line. Yep. You know what I mean? Can we get a little bit of more credit that he actually did well, and that there should have been some type of share of the title. Everyone should have just got it split. There's co-MVPs of All-Star games. Yeah. There are ties in the skills challenge, but in dunk contest is like, oh, there's only one winner. No, you should be able to have two winners if it's that close. It's never been this close before. Yeah, right. Even the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon one. I felt like Aaron Gordon won that one handily. Yes. Zach LaVine did not win, but in this one, it's like both of these dudes won.
Yeah,
like just
I agree with that. I agree with your assessment. Derrick Jones still in my he still didn't win. Aaron Gordon's dunk was extremely difficult.
Which one?
He had quite a few.
Yeah, the last one. The last one was extremely difficult.
The Taco Fall one. Because I have some thoughts on Taco Fall dunk.
Go ahead, man.
He bent down a little bit.
Okay.
He bent down a little bit, right? But he's still 7'6".
Wait a second. 7'3" now. I have a question. No. 7'3". No, that's not okay. All right. So someone wrote on Twitter, right? They were like, people are getting mad because Derrick Jones cleared Bam Adebayo, who is 6'9", by a good 3 inches, maybe 3 or 4 inches, right? So 6'9" plus 3 inches or 4 inches is 7'1", right? And they showed the clip where it's like this dude is literally over his head. Okay, now let's go to the dunk with Taco Fall. He is 7'6". Aaron Gordon, his midsection or his groin area was on the back of this dude's neck.
His balls. Okay. You can say his balls.
Okay. All right. We're grown. So if his balls are on his neck,
can you not say balls?
Let's go ahead and subtract. What's the average head size? How many inches is the average head size? Taco Fall is not the average man.
I was about to say.
Let's just say the average head size. Can we say that his head is maybe 6 inches? Maybe it's 5 inches? Like up and down. So we take that away. He's 7'1". So now Aaron Gordon is dunking with his on this dude's neck over somebody that's 7'1", and Derrick Jones cleared Bam Adebayo, which was the same amount of inches.
Well, the difference is he had to grab the ball from Taco Fall.
Yes.
So he couldn't just overly clear him. He had to make sure he was in a position to grab the ball, which Taco Fall had positioned at about 7 feet high.
That means he jumped up in the air, grabbed the ball at that point, and still dunked the ball.
Bro, I listen. I don't say that he doesn't have ups. What my argument was like people were saying, "Oh, Derrick Jones couldn't get up that high." I'm like, are we crazy right now?
I don't think so.
See, this is slander I'm talking about.
I don't think so.
How in the world can a dude clear somebody who cleared 3 inches over someone who is 6'9", and he can't have the same ups to get the ball and dunk like that?
All right,
get out of here.
I got just one question for you, bro. Who is going to win? What college football team is going to win the NCAA championship next year? Go ahead, tell the truth. Who's going to win next year?
Don't have a clue.
Okay, I thought he was going to say the Miami Hurricanes, which was going to show
I just what he was thinking. I want to say Miami, but
no. Listen. Last year, the Hurricanes proved that they're still unproven. So until we start getting 10 games in the season, I can't predict Hurricanes are going to win.
Well, you were saying that up until week 10 last year.
I didn't say they were going to win last year. They lost against the Gators in the first game. Get out of here.
NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Who's coming out of the East? How about that?
Thank you.
Honestly, right now, the way everything at the All-Star break, I'd have to say the Bucks are coming out of the East.
Are they going to play Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Not unless they really find a way to get clutch in the fourth quarter with scoring. Like they've had an issue in like maybe the last 10 games scoring points. Tyler Hero's been hurt, which has been a clutch player for them.
He used to play for the Magic.
Tyler Hero?
Did he used to play for the Magic?
Nope, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Who am I thinking about?
That's all right.
Super Mario. I forgot his name.
That dude plays for Portland. Mario Hero Jr. Yeah, he plays for Portland.
Parzinga, I think his name is.
But yeah, so I think that if the Heat are able to really start get some scoring in the fourth quarter, they can definitely they beat the Bucks already twice this year, but
Well, yeah, man. I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the biggest stories of this year, and I'm not trying to bring the mood down, but it was, it was devastating for me personally. When I heard the news that Kobe Bryant was, deceased, and then hearing the news that his daughter was on there, and then the 7 others, bro, it put me in a bad place. Because for whatever reason, it felt like a family member of mine that I was close to, even though I've never met the man, never talked to the man. He felt like it to me. It really felt like a family member. Yeah. Was deceased. Yeah, man. And it hurt like that. I ain't drop any tears or anything, but it really shook me up, and it actually made me look at myself and look at my family, and it made me just love my family even more. Yeah, man. So that was definitely one of the things that this year was. It was one of the down moments in this year so far.
Very impactful, man. Very impactful. I'll dive right into it, man. I mean, same sentiment, and I think it's because we got a chance to see this guy actually grow up in the limelight, on TV. I've heard so many people, commentators give their spin on it, but you think about, he took Brandy to the prom, and and then you see him trying to chase that first ring, and then becoming like all-time champion, winning 5 of them, and then going into this retirement age where now he's a coach, he's coaching his daughter's game, and he's in that father role. So it's just you got to see the evolution of a man before your eyes, and having that much access to someone's life, it makes it feel like it's a family member that's there. Just like your brother, your sister's there, you know what I mean? So I had the same feeling, man, from a little brother, big brother standpoint. My older brother is his same age. And actually my two of my older, I'm starting to get it. I got a couple of them. let me preface this. My older brother that I grew up in the house with is his age. Because I got to start naming them all,
but I ain't forget you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, the brother I grew up in the house with, he's that age. So it just made me reflective on that. Obviously, as a parent, man, and the whole Gigi situation, man, and not being able to, seeing the potential, seeing seeing her kind of like, go following his footsteps, but from a female standpoint and what that could have been, that all of that, man, just taking that in. That was a tough week, man. It was a really tough week. And I kept asking myself, I'm like, am I being a hype beast in a sense? You know what I mean? Like, why am I like legit like mourning for this dude? I don't know him, and those are some of the things I started to come to terms with. I'm like, man, well, it's because the guy grew up in, before your eyes. He grew up on TV. So it feels like, just like I'm seeing my brother grow up and become a parent and do all those things. I got a chance to see that with him. So yeah, that was my take on it.
Kobe being Bryant. It was tough. When I heard about it right after we got out of church. Like, it happened that morning, and we got out of church. We sitting by the cars and reading tweets, and I'm like,
you sent the text to us.
Yeah, and I won't send stuff that's like not corroborated. You know what I mean? I had to go on get several sources. I'm like, this is real. And the first thing that I instantly thought, like, while this is sad, I was like, dang, this dude has a legacy. Like, before all of the tributes and this is what Kobe meant for me, this is what Mamba mentality meant, I started going through just like up until that point what my interaction had been with Kobe. And I used to think I hated Kobe as a player,
right,
but I used to always dream of him being a coach because I was like, this dude is a genius. It would be great. I relived some of the greatest moments when Wade would go versus Kobe, because we were talking about Wade, obviously my favorite player, and him being in the conversation of top 3 shooting guards of all time. He had a chance to compete against Kobe. at a high level, and both of them being in their prime, so to speak. So I used to love their battles, and especially when Wade got the best of them, which wasn't often. Especially when that one game when he got the best of them and Kobe still hit the game-winning 3 over Wade. That was hurtful. But yeah, he was just a really, really hard worker, man. He epitomizes the word diligence. We make the comparison. I love Allen Iverson. That guy is a great guy. Even now, he's even showing how better of a guy he is. But I'm going off of Allen Iverson when he was playing in the league. He wasn't really a nice person. Okay. So when Allen Iverson would come out and he'd be like, practice, not a game, we talk about practice. And then we talk these different contexts, like Allen Iverson going out to the club, Kobe going to the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Allen Iverson, 0 championships, right? like Kobe 5 on different sets of teams. It wasn't like the same team throughout. So while I love Kobe Bryant as a Laker, I still think Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker. That's just me. But Kobe to me,
it's because you don't like Kobe Bryant. Go ahead, continue.
Magic's got
you
5.
admitted it. You said he got the better of your favorite.
Yeah, but Magic's got 5 of 8.
That's
how you treat people who get the better of your team.
Yeah.
Who do I
continue.
treat? Anyway, listen.
You don't like. You just. You don't like Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, you just.
I didn't say I don't like Aaron Gordon at all.
We all heard it, man. Everybody heard it.
Continue.
You're hurting your tone.
Anyways, Kobe's got 5 of 7. What you call it's got 5 of 8. Anyways, triple double king, whatever. But yeah, his work ethic, man. And then the whole tributes come out with the whole girl dad thing and stuff like that. It's like, oh man, this dude, people doing murals all over everything. He was one of the first people to bring the international spectrum into the game of basketball that wasn't international. And like his dad played in Italy. I mean, his name is Italian. He speaks 5 languages. He was speaking Spanish with Paul Gasol on the court, so people couldn't understand like what he was calling. I mean, like that's just genius level stuff, man. So definitely super heartbroken for him and his family. Praying for his wife and the rest of his daughters. I know there's a huge void there that I believe only the Lord can fill. So I hope that they find solace in them to keep living. And to do like a lot of NBA players have already said, Kobe will want me to keep going. Kobe will want me to, move forward. So
cool.
Yeah, no, don't really have anything new outside of what was already said. I didn't like Kobe as a player early on. I transitioned once LeBron hit the league, and I was like, yo, these people are really disrespecting Kobe right now when they had crowned LeBron as the greatest thing. I'm like, this dude is still not better than Kobe Bryant. I'm like, he will be, but at this point, and so I was like, yo, you got to respect the greatness that was Kobe Bryant. So I transitioned just because I felt at that point he was being disrespected. To me, he was the greatest player since MJ. Not closest that I would say in a comparison. Like I would legitimately compare Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan because he patterned himself after greatness, which I think you admire. He didn't try to pattern himself after someone else. He acknowledged this is the GOAT. I want to be better than the GOAT, so hey, you follow the GOAT. So I hearken his passing to the level that it impacted everybody. I think you can see it now on because we're social media linked.
Age.
You could see you could see all the reactions. But I remember in '96 when Pac died, and I remember in '97 when Big died.
Yeah.
So when Pac passed, I was 12. I was just like, oh man,
Yeah.
Oh, I never met him. I remember but it was like this connection.
I remember where I was.
Yeah. It was September.
I was in my front yard. I was like, what? And I fell back in the grass like, whoa, Pac's died.
Yeah, and it was like this weight. I was like, man, what am I doing? What the? And I couldn't explain it. I mean,
yeah, man.
I wasn't even allowed to listen to rap music. But it's one of them things. I mean, of course, I snuck and listened to it. Of course.
Yeah. Somehow you knew who he was.
And then I'm just like, to me, so you have these similar connections to where which, we feel somehow connected to these people. Of course, it could be the celebrity, but I think there are just a lot of things about Kobe that spoke to our community.
Right.
From just being tenacious and, having a swag that was like, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Love me or hate me.
That's
At
right.
the end of the day, I'm winning. And, you know, a lot of people were able to relate to that. And he was hated, but he was respected. There was nobody who did not
that's way to say it.
respect the greatness of Kobe Bryant. So,
And that's why you hated him in a lot of sense, because it's like you knew once he got on the court, you're like, man, he's not gonna let up. He's gonna come at it every time. You know, he never took a day off. So
yeah,
man. Yeah. So, like I said, I definitely couldn't go on without letting us touch on that. So we're gonna move out of that. Cause like I said, we shake it off.
hey, I'm gonna put on the record. I cried. All right,
Yeah,
shoot.
Oh gosh.
What's that, Derek? Let the audience hear it. What'd you say, Derek?
No, man. B brought up something that I have been fascinated with, and that's the age of the, you know, one of the things that popped up in this past decade was social media really was put on the forefront, and the viral videos and the you know, just the stuff that people would put on. And like one of the things that has really been intriguing me lately has been the sudden surge. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's just all of a sudden. It could have been happening over time, but there has been a huge push for transgender athletes to participate in whatever. Man, I don't want to say anything wrong or insensitive, but they're choosing to be in events based off of their gender
decision.
Yeah, their gender decision. So what it means, if what I'm saying is, if a child is born as a male and then they identify as a woman, in high school, they're able to run on the girls' track team, or they're able to wrestle the girls. And there's been many cases of them dominating. You know, there was I don't know, I don't have the exact name or the exact school, but I know that there was a transgender wrestler who wrestled in the girls' meet and was a state champion. Weightlifting, track and field, all of these things. So it's just one of those things, man, where y'all, let's talk about it. Let's be cool about it, and feel. I mean, let it go, man. Just let it out and be real about it.
Okay, I'm gonna make a joke. All right. So, Monique has this new comedy special out on Showtime called Monique and Friends, and she's bringing out new comics or whatever, introducing them. Shout out to Monique being able to get back on her thing, get her check from Showtime after the whole Netflix debacle. So great job, Monique. So one of the girls that she brought out had this joke, and she said, "I'm a size 20, but I identify as a size 8. I am trans-slender."
Trans-slender.
I like it.
So I cracked up. I mean, it's a joke, and I mean, if you don't think it's funny, great. You know, like Dave Chappelle, leave me alone. So the thing is, like, you can state that you are something else. That's fine, you know. But don't be alarmed and don't be mad at the rest of the society if they don't agree with that standpoint. Like, there are, especially when that gives you unfair advantages, right? Like, we as a black community went crazy. We had this topic on the podcast when Rachel Dolezal identified as black.
What's that called? Transracial?
I think that's what she called herself. So. And it was like, okay, cool. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with a white girl using her white privilege to be able to help black people. No problem at all. But what I'm saying is, it's like, okay, cool. You're not black. I'm not trying to ostracize you. Come on in. You don't have to be black for me to bring you in. You don't have to be black for you to be able to fight for the same things I'm fighting for. All right. But in this case, like, when we talk about athletes, man, like, we already know that just men and women's bodies are built differently, you know? In some cases there are, and don't get me wrong, there's some women that will like dominate men in sports.
Zena.
Like, yes, like my wife. So like, But in that same case, there's a reason why we have the WNBA, and we're not forcing people in the WNBA to play NBA games, right? I mean, if they want to do that for a pickup standpoint, I know that WNBA players will play with NBA players, but like. We're not. Remember Juwanna Man, the movie when he went in, he was dominating the league because he was a man. That's not fair to the women who are trying to compete at the very, very height against the men in their respective places who are competing at the very, very height of their sport. So I do not think I'm okay with saying, hey, listen, you need to compete according to your birth gender. Like that's just how you were born and how you are identified is how you need to compete.
Yeah, I mean, man, my constant question is where does it stop, right? Where do you draw the line? What's to stop someone from being in high school and they want a scholarship to go to, they want to get a scholarship to go to college? What's to stop them from saying, hey, I'm going to be, and I try not to laugh because I'm not being insensitive, but I'm just posing the question, like, when you start to get into this path, like where does it stop? What's to stop a person from saying, hey, you know what, I need a scholarship, so for my senior year, I'm gonna be a transgender, so I could dominate this sport, get this scholarship, and then I'm just gonna switch back because you know what, I'm not. That's not me anymore.
Yeah, gender fluid.
Is that a thing?
That's the thing. Yeah. Like some days they feel like a guy, and some days they feel like a girl.
Yeah, you sexually fluid too is one.
Yeah. And this is not to go against people who are like literally like how you're born. If your body overproduces estrogen or overproduces testosterone, like look, then you're still competing within your gender. You're not making your body or giving yourself an unfair advantage. Your body does what your body does. But when we're talking about in context, like people who say, oh yeah, I'm now a girl and I'm going to play for the girls basketball team. It's like, right. Okay, so now you're dunking on
gender fluid. Isn't that just like bisexual?
No, it has nothing to do with
sexual
orientation.
It's what you identify with.
Identify in your gender. I got you.
Yeah, that's what they call gender fluid.
Go
ahead, B.
Not to make it a sexual thing.
Sound
like an idiot.
My take is I don't think you should be allowed to play any sport outside of your assigned birth gender. But at the same time, in this particular age that we live in, this is going to be and has become an issue that we've got to face. Got to be creative. You got to be innovative in how we're going to deal with it. Whether you have a trans category,
that could work.
Which, that may have to be the case. But I don't believe that you should be allowed to just pick and choose. I mean, I think everybody in here we're pretty athletic. What if we decided because I may not have been the best on my team? Well, you know what? I can go dominate over there.
Exactly.
So let me go over there. I think there's actually a lawsuit somewhere up in the Northeast. Some parents are filing suit against the school board, claiming that their daughters, who are athletes, would have won some.
I think it's either Ohio or Utah.
Yeah, they would have won some potential state championships had it not been for and scholarships for the transgender person or persons who came in and dominated the division. So like now their child was discriminated against and were withheld from potential college scholarships and things of that nature. It's got to be addressed. Again, I'm totally with playing with your assigned birth, but you can't forget these people. They're human beings. So
Absolutely.
There has to be something done. What it is, I don't know. But got to come up with something. And I know why Wayne's take was so lenient, because his favorite player is Dwayne Wade. And recently we see that being in the news. And I think
that was the next topic. So I'm glad you're going into
segueing right in. Go ahead. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that you did bring that up, because that's where I was going with it. Not necessarily saying that he's trying to get into sports, or his son, who is now identifying as his daughter, is not trying. I'm not saying that they are trying to get into sports, but my thoughts is just, as a society, I know it's tough because the majority of us, we were brought up in sports is sports, and you got the men's sports, you got the women's sports, and then there was a lot of sexist stuff going on back then. He'd be like, look, the girls need to go cheerlead or something.
Right.
But now we've seen that women are, if not
talented,
equal. I mean, if not better, they're at least equal as far as their athletic ability when it comes to a man. Now, if you put them side by side, yes, it's going to be. If you put FloJo against
Usain
Bolt, it's no contest. It's almost a full second faster. So, and in a full second in a 100-meter sprint is about 30 meters. So, so that's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm definitely sensitive to it because I know what it feels like to be discriminated against. I know what it feels like to have hateful speech thrown at you for no apparent reason other than you just being who you are. So I'm definitely not insensitive of that, but I don't condone that a male who's born with male parts and male testosterone can get into, a female sport and just dominate the way they are. But that's off point. So I'm going to get back to what I was saying. What are your thoughts on the way this whole thing has been playing out with D Wade and his son now that his son has become his daughter?
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm trying to.
Well, let me ask you this, so you can have a more direct thought on it. How do you think he's handled the situation?
I think he's attempting with the information he has to be a supportive parent. However, I do think there's a thing surfacing a little Boosie. He went off on him about it, and basically, what I'll summarize what he's saying. He's like, he don't know what he wants yet. He made a comment. He don't know what he gonna eat the next day. Meaning, like, you decide you provide
12.
food for him, right?
Yeah. So,
you haven't allowed him to get to an age to a point where he wants to decide, because I know people growing up who were, not
gender fluid.
Not gender fluid. Well, no, because they didn't go all the way gender with it, right? They was just it's a sexual thing, right? So not to confuse the two, right? There's a difference, right? So, what's the lesbian? There we go. I was trying to make sure I said the right term. No, hey, shoot, you got to be careful. So I knew I knew girls coming up. They were lesbian, and then they got older, and they're like, "Nah, I want to have a husband." Right. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I known any homosexual males that I don't know. But all I'll say is it was a season for them, right? So when you start to switch gender, I think it's such a permanent thing to do, and it's so, in my opinion, as a parent, it's just so much to put on a child that's still developing. If that child comes home after going off to college, or comes home after getting into the pre-adult years, 16 and older, right? They've kind of they've had some experiences, and they come home and they say, "This is my decision." Then you as a parent, from my household, it would be different than other parents. I have a Christian household, but as a parent, I can understand a parent want to be supportive, and I support them exploring and being supportive of their child. But when you start in the primitive, in the younger years and the developmental years, start to make permanent decisions on a kid, like if that kid was kind of going back and forth, you just made it permanent for them. Okay. And I think that's just irresponsible.
Well, see, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if I see this as permanent. Like you said,
because of gender fluidity. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's not like you're a girl for the rest of your life, right? Like we all had phases in our teenage years that.
Nope.
Man, before you get that
nope. Okay. So everything that you did as a teenager, you do now.
Nope.
So there were phases where we all had different interests and stuff that we're not into right now. Like we just have a conversation before we start recording. I used to love to watch fights. You just love it.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
People knocked
like
out.
loved it. Now I look at it, it's like, man, why are we doing this to one another? This is dangerous. That you could have killed that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is an element of being able to understand when your child is going through a phase, and I think this is like it's very, very tough, because unless you already have been in that situation, it's tough to say I would do exactly X, especially when a person is 12. It's like, because you want to love your child, man, and the love of your child goes beyond so many things. So and so many decisions that they have made, whether you feel like those decisions are good or whether you feel like those decisions are bad. If the decisions that they made become toxic in any way, and it's poisoning the
rest of the house,
or the relationship that you have, then obviously you have to make a decision about that. But I won't call him a friend. He's a cool guy that I'm cool with. He recently lost his mom, and his mom and his brother got into it a whole lot in years before she passed away, because he was gay and she came from a strict Christian household. But she had come through that and came to love her son. It's like, this is my son. Like, I may not agree with what you're doing, but this is my son. Like, at the end of the day, like, I can't control everything you do. I mean, can you imagine if our parents tried to control every single thing that we did that they did not agree with? I mean, nope. It's just like, but it becomes one of those things that's so temperamental, especially in the black community, man. We are very, very, and I don't want to say not open-minded, because let me be clear, this is not something that I would be okay with my child coming and saying, and I'm not, and I may not have the best reaction to you telling me this is the first time.
At 12.
At 12, you know what I mean? But what I want to also express is, like, in other areas, kids make decisions, like you want to be an astronaut, and now you don't want to be an astronaut anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, and this is such like a sensitive area. He's such a public figure. Him and Gabrielle Union are so very public. It's like, how could you be doing like Boosie? Like, he don't know what he gonna do yet. It's like, dude, just chill before your kids start sleeping around with 15 million people. And like, I just heard Steven Spielberg, one of his daughters, he has adopted children. I didn't know. One of his daughters just came out and just said, "I'm gonna be a porn star." I'm like,
Jesus, Wait, is he a billionaire?
He's a billionaire. He's worth $3.7 billion. You know what I mean? And so it's like, your kids are gonna make decisions that you don't agree with. So I think it's just really important to support your children, train them up in the way that they should go. That's a scripture that I believe in. Continue to show them the right way, that according to your moral system. Because if your child just starts to, kill people, obviously you're not going to be like, you know what, I support my child in being able to do whatever he wants to do. No, you're gonna correct that behavior. So, but also allow your children to, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so. It's so tough, man. I don't have a clue
today, man. You see how much we
no, but you
have to censor yourself.
You have to be cautious to the development of that child, right? Because then you ostracize them, and like my friend's example, you just kick your person out of your life for 10, 15 years because it's like, I can't ever deal with you. It's like, that's like Brian mentioned earlier. These are human beings.
I will say today's climate is forcing people who before would say, I don't believe in that, and you could do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna do me. And it's like it's forcing you to, like Brian said, be creative and figure out how to, be more supportive, loving. Yeah. It's forcing you to love. That's the best way to put it. So I mean, shoot, I'm gonna put this out there. If I sounded insensitive at any point, I didn't mean to. I'm still battling the way I've been raised. But like I said, I could only have control over what my household believes, and what I will, instill in my children. But as far as with Dwayne Wade, like I said, I applaud him for being a black male who's willing to stand out and support his son in this journey that his son's on.
A black male who's in his child's life, like they have a great household. And he's raising his son. He's raised Zaire. Well, he has this other son that he's doing.
Two other sons.
Yeah, he got two, but he's doing it to the best of his ability. And that's That's tough. I would hate for somebody to have a public microscope over my parenting. Like, jeez.
Yeah, man. I think that's what really makes this situation unique is that you're growing up in a family of celebrity. So everything, your whole life, people know you who don't know you. Yeah. People see you.
Got comments about you that don't know you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I first caught wind of it, so I was like, man, how, when it became viral, how did it become viral? And so I just started just kind of looking back, and I think the first clip that went viral was D Wade on Ellen.
Yeah, that's what took it viral.
And I just watched the clip, but I'm like, so he came on Ellen to out the child, and I don't want to call him or her because I just like you said, I just don't know the terms yet.
Right.
So
you don't
child,
know the
I know they're still a child. So I was like, dang, well, like that's crazy. But then when I looked a little deeper, he was promoting the documentary. So I was like, okay, so potentially, and I'm going to assume because the documentary is on his private life. So I'm like, okay, so he could be getting out in front.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he's talking.
Yeah, of what?
This actually came out. This came out a while ago. There was a picture that Gabrielle's union celebrated at like there was like a Pride Day or whatever, and she took the picture with the child and was showing, hey,
But it was at that term. It was looked at. Okay, he's homosexual.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I mean?
It
wasn't like
gotcha.
as a she.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's a different. It's become a different conversation now.
Exactly. So that's exactly it. So
parents
that's
have
where
been
it
supporting their kids who are homosexual or lesbians for years. So that wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It's like, okay, he has one. His son has made that decision. When it's like, okay, cool, and good supporting your kid. But this is like. This is a part of the new terminology that we're obviously not privy to here.
Yeah. So, so I looked at that. So, man, at the end of the day, man, my heart is with the kid, in this whole ordeal. How is a kid being impacted? They're 12 years old, still developing. That doesn't mean they don't have feelings. You can't deny a person's feelings. That's, that's specific to the individual. Doesn't mean that they're always right. Right. I didn't feel like eating vegetables growing up.
Yeah.
Then me and my parents didn't make me eat them. At that point, they knew what was best. And, and they enforced certain things. They acknowledged my feelings. You don't feel like eating them, but if you don't eat them, you're going to get it. So I ate them.
We're going to find a way to eat
them. And that's not to say that D. Wade should now enforce sexuality on their kid. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think, that I appreciate them handling it and acknowledging the kid's feelings. I think there was some misinformation, set out there by Boosie, who was saying that they were paying for the kid's surgery. They were going to let the kid have a surgery.
Oh, yeah. He was saying don't cut this. Yeah.
Yeah. And come to find out, I hadn't seen anywhere where D. Wade and Gabrielle had made that statement that they would be going that far.
Because that becomes transvestite, right?
I don't know.
That's when you.
I think that's just trans.
That's what the trans.
That's the change. Like trans means change. So you change.
I think transvestite is
change the body parts, right?
You have both?
Listen, this is not what we're educated in.
I don't know.
I would love to, at some point, talk to somebody in that community. I would love to have a real sit down and informative conversation. I have no problem doing that. Hopefully,
honestly, this conversation shows just the climate of social media. There's a lot of people commenting on it, have no idea.
Well, what it really does,
we know
shows
nothing
that
about this stuff.
This is one of the things I will say about social media is because it has allowed us, as 4 black men in here, to have this conversation and not be negative the whole way about it.
I couldn't do this 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was it. Before it became prevalent.
Yeah, you
instantly
don't
be like,
even mention that around.
No, don't talk to me. No, they can't come around here. No. Your uncles and your granddaddies, they'd be like, no, they can't. No, you can't let them come over here. No, they can't come in this house now because
it's funny because Brian used to mention this all the time. He mentioned that people who are of the LGBTQX community, which includes every one of them, are riding the coattails of the civil rights movement, right? Meaning, like, you can't deny me a right as a human being that I can't I can't do this. And every time I think about saying, like, my mind thinks, oh, I don't agree with that statement. I put myself in the like in the shoes of, lack of a better phrase, white people when black people when we were integrating, right? Like, oh, it's always been this way, so we can't have black people come in and it's like, that's wrong. We know that was wrong. So it's very difficult as a believer, to reconcile. And honestly, it's not difficult to reconcile. Jesus is love, right? Like, at the end of the day,
that's it.
He tells us to love. Like, even if you have a complete disagreement with somebody, you can still love them and treat them with honor and respect. You can do that. You don't have to browbeat them with your beliefs onto them or shun yourself away from that person because you're like, oh, your whatever is going to get on me, right?
Yeah. Culturally, I think.
No, back in the days, boy.
That's what you used to say, right? Like, you couldn't be in proximity.
Yeah, you can't be around no gay person, man, because that gay gonna get on you.
The dumbest thing ever.
Like it's a plague or something. But
bro, we've come a long way as a society.
But it's just, we esteem culturally, we esteem one sin over the other. We think, okay, because the homosexual or lesbian part of our belief, we believe that it's not a acceptable practice in the Bible, right? So, but because it's external, you're like, you want to shun people and exclude yourself from people when there could be someone right next to you in your own family engaging in all the other sins. You know what I mean? So it's hard for us to.
But you also got to remember you yourself.
And yourself.
Every day.
Yeah. We all doing something that you're not supposed to do.
Right. I ain't even got to the self-reflection. It's just, since we want to keep it external, I'm making this an external point. I'm making a point about people looking at things externally. So you like, okay, I don't want this person around me. When this person that grew up in your household could be a pedophile. There could be all kind of crazy things, right? But because it's an external thing, you make this big deal out of it. So, this is causing, like I said, this hypersensitivity is causing us to really get back to love, really. It's like you're looking back and you're like, man, I don't, just like us as African Americans, we're ostracized and segregated, from white society and treated as less than. It's like, at first, when that first comparison came out, like you, Wayne, I was like, man, don't dare compare it to the black struggle, but it's human struggle. It's just a different
struggle.
It's not about skin color. It's about decision in this regard. So,
yeah. Again, I'll definitely, and I'll always vehemently say this: they're not equal struggles. The black civil rights struggle for basic humanity, for the right to be free,
right?
Literally, for the right to have a baby and it not be taken, for the right to not be raped and not be property. But again, that doesn't diminish in any capacity the rights that the LGBTQ, XYZ, LMNOP community is going for. I know it's a lot of
alphabet.
A lot of alphabets at the end.
But what I'll say is, like you said, man, it really forces the Christians to walk out what we've been taught and what we've been instructed by Christ.
Like, be a Christian,
anyway. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, scripturally, the well don't need a physician.
Yeah.
So, and again, Christianity. Again, I would recommend everybody read at least the epilogue of Frederick Douglass's narrative. He talks about the Christianity of America versus the Christianity of Christ. And for me, that was so prolific because I was struggling in this age of Donald Trump with reconciling how Christians could be openly bigoted, openly prejudiced, and show absolute hatred towards certain groups. But again, that's just been the Christianity of America. And he does, just a phenomenal job of delineating the two and letting people know that, hey, because in his autobiography, what he says is the worst masters that he ever had were Christians. Mm-hmm. He said you'd get up and preach piousness, during service, and after service come home and rape my wife. And he was like, these are the things. He was like, you come in and talk about, a God who is about freedom and a God of love, and then you come in and hate my very existence. So, again, I would recommend that to everybody. But, I love the fact that Christians are now walking in an area of love towards these people and not hate, which is what we're supposed to do. And again, if whether or not we agree with their lifestyle, we still love them.
That's right. That's
so
it.
That's what I appreciate. Now back to more specifically this whole D-Wade situation. One or two real points that I had, after looking at this, I'm like, this, after Lil Boosie going his rant, I see everybody on Facebook posting, agreeing with Boosie. Yeah. I'm like, this the same brother who said he was going to get his 14-year-old son a stripper to give him some oral fellatio for his 14th birthday. So now all of a sudden we're giving him the title of an accredited parent counselor.
Source of good parenting.
I didn't even know that.
I'm like, no, man, no.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't mean he's not redeemable or anything. I'm just saying we gotta keep.
But that goes to your parenting credibility.
Exactly. Now, and one of the other things I came across that I didn't realize this wasn't him and Gabrielle's biological son.
Right.
So I'm like, where is the child's? What does his mama have to say? What does his biological mama have to say about this? And I don't know if she did say anything or not, but I think his mom might be the one who was trying to put weight on blast with the signs.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
That she had a settlement, so I don't know that she has any right to speak into the child's life anymore based off of what the settlement agreement was. Yeah, she was the one trying to grab all the money from D-Wade. So.
Wait, they can't keep her from seeing a child.
Depending on what she
you can
agreed
sign
to.
over rights if you want to.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, you can sign over your parental rights.
So
I don't know enough about it. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's all a part of like what you agree to. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to take this money, these are our conditions for you taking the money. It's like, okay, cool, I'll take the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you try to see the child, you're a violation of that agreement. You could be arrested.
Yeah, you go to jail.
Yeah.
But yes, so I mean, I concur with Brian. I mean, it would be nice to hear from the mom as long as she has a level head
And
she
grandma
doesn't.
too, because grandma pastor.
Yeah, she is.
I want to see.
She is.
I mean, I would imagine to be love. I'm not saying
visibly like the sister Tregill and mom haven't really said anything publicly because it's like, look, let my son get their thing, and I just believe anybody else that comes in and says, we've got to stand against sin, and then we can't allow. It's like, okay, I learned early on.
Well, you sinning right now.
This is what I'm saying. I started to learn hey, you are like these people that come on these platforms and just like go so vehement against not sin in general, but like a specific sin. That's the thing that's going to tell you something about that person. So
in the motel.
You get it's happened time and time again. So I don't. You love the person throughout, and show God's love at the end of the day.
That's it, man. I my only opinion about it is I think D-Wade is doing the best that a father can do, especially with the spotlight being on him. What is he going to do in public? Start shunning his child at 12 years old, telling him that he can't stay there, or I just think people need to stay in their lane.
Yeah,
Take
man.
care of your house.
Worry about yourself.
Yeah, make sure what you doing is on the up and up.
Yeah.
And then everything else will fall into place. So we're going to go ahead and end on that note. From myself, my boy Diddy Rowe, my boy Khalid the Geek, and my boy G-Dub.
Yo.
We out.